Hey you beautiful people, welcome back to a new video on our channel Read Travel Become. This video is one of the most requested videos like every year. Every year I get a lot of comments saying that please show us all of your books, do a mini bookshelf tour, show us whatever you've got. So here we are. I just thought I'll make a new mini bookshelf video. Now why am I calling it a mini bookshelf tour? Because I'm not home, I'm in the US actually. I've moved here 2 years back. Back home I had more than 400 books and I've made a bookshelf tour, entire bookshelf tour, which you can find here in the I button. That was a beautiful video. I call it my treasure, basically all of the books that I've collected. And since the time I've come to the US, I haven't bought a lot of books per se. Here I've either got books from the library or I've borrowed books from people. People have gifted me books here, and you know, from here and there I've got a lot of books. There are places where there are open libraries. You just can take the books home, read it and go back. So I have a lot of books from there as well. So this is my mini collection, and I've recently moved places and I had the books all around me. So I thought let's just make a video of showing all the books that I have. This video might be a little long and it's not like a comprehensive bookshelf tour, but nonetheless I just want to show you guys my treasure which I have meticulously collected. Each and every book is a very dear book to me. And yeah, let's start with the video. Make sure you watch the video till the end. You may never know which thought or fact may resonate with you and change the course of your life. So let's get started. So let's start with this section. We have Six of Crows, the duology ka first book. We have Mexican Gothic. So this was a top book on Goodreads, so that's why I got it from Barnes and Nobles. Atlas of the Heart, I've talked about this book a lot of times. Power of Now, again, personal favorite. Jhumpa Lahiri's Interpreter of Maladies, I got this from home. Then I've never read this and I don't think I'm going to read this. It's a rom-com. That's why. Emily Henry's People We Meet on a Vacation. Then Angela Duckworth's Grit, a beautiful book. Got this from a gift in the library. Big Magic, life-changing book about creativity. I have notes and all in this book, I remember. Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. India at 70. So very interesting concept. All the defining events that happened in India are written in this book. Then we have The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Very similar to Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I read it, didn't like it as much, but it's a good book anyways. Hunger Games, very popular. Got this in the library. Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground. I also have a copy of Crime and Punishment back home, not here. Fahrenheit 451, another classic novel by Ray Bradbury. Very intense novel, a very eye-opening novel and beautiful read. 2001 Space Odyssey. I'm not exactly sure whether this book has been adapted from the movie or the movie is based on this book. I don't know the correlation because it's written in a screenplay format, and there are notes from Stanley Kubrick as well, from the director as well. Okay, so next is Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Beautiful small book, and I always wanted a hard copy of this book. Cheryl Strayed Wild, very beautiful story about an expedition. Barbed Wire Heart, I don't know what this novel is. It's a thriller novel. I got this from a library. Call Me By Your Name, very popular novel. Traveler of the Century, Andres Newman. It's a award-winning book. I haven't read it actually. I don't even know what the book is about. I got it in the open library. Imagination Machine. This is basically about, it's a corporate book. It's how to foster ideation and innovation in a company. The book is all about that. It's got these graphics and diagrams to illustrate all the learnings. Cleopatra's very Cleopatra for dummies, basically, if you want to know who Queen Cleopatra was. Christine Hanna's beautiful book, The Nightingale. I'm yet to complete it actually, but I've heard very good things and must read, and it's also going to be a movie now. The Art of Strategy. The Art of Strategy, it's a business book and it also can be applied to life, how to strategize in different environments. Surrounded by Idiots, it's about human behavior, the 4 types of human behavior and how to effectively communicate with each in business and in life. Very easy to read. The Exceptional Presenter, this book was being given out in some business school, I remember. It's about how to present and how to talk to people. Stephen King's Misery. I was terrified to read this novel. It gave me a nightmare. Very scary read. It's a page turner. Definitely recommended, and it's got this great mysterious cover where the writer is being overlooked by a shadow of the person who's kept her captive. Then Emotion Machine. Very important book. I wanted a hard copy of this. This was one of Sushant Singh Rajput's most recommended book. He used to talk a lot about this book on Twitter. It's a very complex book, very hard to understand. It's basically how the human mind is being extrapolated into the learning of an AI, but very important read, and it's got a lot of important concepts. The next is the most important, not the very important, the most important Stoic book, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. I have the Penguin version of this. There are many publications which publish this book. I have talked about this book a lot of times on my channel. Very important book just to have it around. Just scroll through any of the learning that you want from Marcus Aurelius. Important book. This is an interesting book. The story that inspired The Sound of Music. The Sound of Music is a very popular movie back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't exactly remember. The movie is based on this book, and it's the story of a family of singers and how they created music. 1500 Broadway performances, 6 Tony Awards, more than 3 million albums sold. This is being talked about, The Sound of Music. Next is a very interesting book. So the movie Sound of Music was based on this book. Sound of Music is like almost 1500 Broadway performances, 6 Tony Awards, more than 3 million albums sold, and 5 Academy Awards. The Sound of Music, the movie was a phenomenal movie about music, and it's based on this book. It's about a family of musicians. I haven't read it, but I've always wanted to read this. I again got this in an open library. Scared Little Rabbits. I don't know what this book about. I don't even know how this got in my collection. I think it was a gift. It's about, I think it's a rom-com again. That's why maybe, I don't know. So the next is Discover Your True North. It's about how to become a leader. It's an out and out leadership book. It talks about various leadership principles. So if you are a CEO of a company, you want to start a company, this is a very important book and has been recommended by many CEOs. 15 Wonders of Daniel Green. Again, a novel. It's about I don't know what's it about. It's just there in my collection. I don't know what's it about. Next is The Speed of Life. This is a teenage novel. It's written in the point of view of a teenage girl who is coming to terms with all the things that are happening. It's a heartwarming story about love, grief, all the basic things. I'm yet to finish it, but a very feel-good book apparently. Next is a very, very funny book. It's a classic novel. It's called The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared. Yes, that's the exact title, the longest title of this book. This book was recommended by Shashi Tharoor a lot of times, and he says that he loves this kind of a humor, and the Jeeves humor from PG Woodhouse. This is very similar to that. So very interesting read. I have completed this book and I was just laughing all the way when I completed this book. Very interesting book. Next is Malcolm Gladwell, Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. This is basically the power of intuition. So I always wanted to have some Malcolm Gladwell book. Outliers I've read, but it wasn't as resonating with me as this book. Blink is about how to hone your intuition, how experts know when things work, when things don't work, and why do they work, and how to hone your skills. This book is all about that. I got this from home. So out of all of these books, some of the books I've got from my own collection because I wanted to be surrounded by those books because they remind me of something. They always want to tell me something subconsciously. This is one of those books which I've got from home. Then it's one of the most hard and the most complex science fiction novel ever written. It's called Cloud Atlas. It's got numerous awards. It's got literally all the science fiction awards there are. I tried reading this book. I could not go over 10 to 15%, but maybe I'm not at that level yet where I can fully comprehend and understand what the author wants to say. But this book is a grand science fiction spectacle. It's got time travel. It's got basically people from different times of the world. It's got people from medieval times. It's got people from the future. It's got people from the World War, and all of these stories are intertwined. There are many stories which are basically connected to each other. So I wanted to have this copy. I tried reading it. I could not. Let's see when I again pick this up. These are complete poems and selected letters of Michelangelo. Again, this was there in an open library. I haven't yet read it, but I have just sometimes randomly scrolled and read some poems. It's very profound, and Michelangelo was one of the greatest artists. I don't know much about him. This is just his work. This is not his story. So yeah, I have this copy as well. Okay, so the next stack now. How to Lie with Statistics. It's an old novel, but a very, very popular, very short read. This book talks about how data can be manipulative, how people manipulate charts and make people into believing that certain kind of an event is happening or not. Very interesting test cases are there. It's a very short book which has got these little illustrations, and very important read, very, very popular read. If you have even 1% interest in statistics and mathematics, you should pick this up and see how you can have fun with data. Next is I got this as a gift from one of my friends. What we see when when we read. It's a very interesting book. Got all of these illustrations, got all of these pictures. This talks about a very interesting thing. So it talks about when we read any novel, when we read anything, what pictures are formed in our mind. So let's say we read about a character. When the author is trying to describe the character in a certain way, the way the character talks, feels, dresses up, how do you imagine that character? How do you fill your personal experiences into the characters that you imagine? This book talks about all of that. It's a very, very bizarre read. It's a very quirky read, and I don't know how to make sense of it, but it's just hilarious to read. There are some funny things written in this book, and there are some mind-blowing things written in this book. Very quirky book. I randomly got this as a gift, and I was just blown away by the illustrations and how the mind thinks. So I'm yet to complete it, but if you want to try someday, you can definitely try this book. Next is, again, I wanted a copy of this around me. Neil deGrasse Tyson's very famous book, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, which is exactly what it sounds like for people who don't have time to study all the quantum physics and stuff. He has written all about that in a very easy way. He is one of the most profound scientific communicators who wants to simplify things and teach it to people. So I like this book. I like the format of this book a lot because it's very, very hard to explain difficult things, complex things in a very simple way. Then I scroll through these pages multiple times of this book. It's a book by Ruskin Bond, a book of simple living. It's brief notes from the hills, little anecdotes, beautiful stories, little poems, little essays, little anecdotes which Ruskin Bond himself had while he's living in the hills in Missouri. Beautiful read. If you're just feeling sad someday, you just scroll through some of these pages. You find yourself, you find yourself comforted in a warm blanket during cold. The feeling is just like that. I carry this book always with me. Then this book was a gift to me. This book is The Road Not Taken and Other Poems by Robert Frost. Very popular poem. Is a very popular one. It has got all the poems of Robert Frost in it. Beautiful copy and beautiful read. This is also, I got it as a gift, Me Talk Pretty One Day. It's a novel about this particular character. And this book has got this old vintage vibe. It was deliberately that. It's a beautiful feeling of reading like literature, classic literature. So I love this copy. Then this book, I can't stop recommending this book. I've talked about this book a lot of times. I won't talk about it much, or else my core subscribers would literally kill me. It's Light from Many Lamps, one of my favorite books of all time. Again, a favorite book of all time, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's autobiography. I carry it with me everywhere I go because it's just a very good reminder just to be grounded and just have high ideals in life and serve people rather than being a deserving person, be a serving person. Next is Your Strategy Needs a Strategy, an out and out business book, not for everyone. It's a good read. It's a very good read for strategy and business and those kind of things. And the next is again like a textbook which everybody should have. I guess everybody should carry this copy. It's Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. These are all the interviews by Tim Ferriss in his podcast show. He has interviewed these successful people, all of these giants. Every person has like 2 to 3 pages of his interview written in a text format, and in this format he has given out tips, tricks, what are their daily routines, what do they follow, what do they preach, what do they think about all of these people. And he has got these little notes in between of his own where how he is synthesizing all of the information that he's getting from all of these people. Very important read. Next is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. It might look like a fat book, but is such a banger of a page turner. The plot is so interesting. It's a science fiction, but it's a thriller. It's a thriller mystery. It's a classic whodunit mystery, but it's written in a very bizarre way, and it's a classic page turner. If you have not read it, definitely pick this up. If you are in a reading slump, you can pick this up. Very interesting plot, very interesting end. It's very, very mysterious. It has got these amazing characters. It's basically one night is being repeated again and again through the eyes of a different characters. I won't give much away, but very, very good read. Then again, this is one of my favorite gifts that I have gotten. I got this on my birthday actually, the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan Batman fan. This book is the screenplay for all the 3 movies. So whatever screenplay happens, it has got the storyboarding also in this book, and it's got all the dialogues, all the screenplay from all the 3 movies. I love this copy of mine. I absolutely love scrolling through some days just to see some of my favorite scenes, how they turned out. Then I have Walter Isaacson's only copy of a biography. I have read almost all of his biographies. I've read Da Vinci, I've read Steve Jobs. I am in the process of reading Einstein. I'm yet to read Franklin though, but I only have this copy of Einstein. I'm yet to complete it. Again, Walter Isaacson is a master biographist, if that is a word. He is coming up with the Elon Musk biography now. I'm sure that will be again a very insightful study of the psyche of Elon Musk. So let's see how that is. This is again a very heavy book. It's not as easy as Da Vinci's book. Da Vinci's book I had listened to an audiobook. This one is very intensive in the terms that he is very scientific. So Walter Isaacson, whatever he writes, he wants to go to the depths of whatever he's writing. So this might be a little more scientific than the average audience, but again a very important read. Then we have Andy Weir's Hail Mary, beautiful science fiction. Again, I have a lot of science fiction copies, I've realized. This is a hilarious version of this astronaut who is stuck in the universe in a spaceship called Hail Mary, and it's all about his adventures. It's again a page turner. Next, I have a hard copy of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This book was, I think, the Goodreads choice top book, and again I got this as a gift. No, I didn't get this as a gift. I had got this from a store. I wanted to read this. I'm yet to finish it. I'm at page 70 of this book. It's about two people building a game. They are classmates and they want to build a game, and how while building that game they form friendships and a lot of things. So interesting concept. अभी तक कुछ ऐसा अलग नहीं लगा मुझे, but yeah, let's see how it is. One of my favorite writers, Kurt Vonnegut. I have 6 books of Vonnegut back at my place, but I just have this copy here, The Sirens of Titan, because I'm yet to complete it. I'm actually done 70 to 80%, but I love the concept. The humor is not for everyone, and I personally like Slaughterhouse 5 the best, but I like this copy also. It's such a nice pastel color, and the color schema is very good to have a physical copy. So I have this book. Next is Jeffrey Archer's False Impression. I recently completed it. It was all about the painting of Van Gogh, so that's why I read this book. Again, page turner. Jeffrey Archer is a big page turner. Am I using the word page turner a lot in this video? I think, but yeah, very good book and page turner. Then the last book of this mini bookshelf tour is this big book of science fiction. See how fat this book is. It's not one story, it's a collection of the best short stories written by Asimov and Bradbury, H.G. Wells, Philip Dick, Ted Chiang, Cixin Liu, all of these great science fiction writers who have won so many awards like Hugo Awards, and these are all legendary tales, and these are all little stories. So it's like a textbook of all the greatest short stories ever written. It takes some daring to even open this book because the text is so small and dense, but again, if you love science fiction, you gotta have this book. So that's why I have this last book on my list. So this is my treasure. This is my recent treasure, which obviously would be an addition to my original treasure, which is back home. I hope you like all of these recommendations. I read a lot of Kindle and on my iPad these days a lot. So it's not like I'm reading all of the hard copies only. It's a mix of all of these books. And because books are very expensive in the US, so I'm not buying a lot of books. If I were in India right now, I would have crossed 1,000 books for sure. But yeah, this is my collection here. I hope you liked all of these recommendations. Do let me know in the comment section which book out of these books you want to read, and if you have read any of these books you would like to recommend it to others. Thank you so much for watching the video till here, and share this video, and thank you so much for all the love and support that you've always shown me. That's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.